Mishka Shurbali is catching up with friends who are arguably more talented than him.
Well, hello there. Hey, what's up, gang? It's Mishka. You know who I am. You know what this is. Just wanted to fill you guys in on some of the episodes that we have coming up soon. I interviewed Andy Falkus from Future of the Left and Christian Fitness and a little band called McCluskey. That was a great interview. He is a surprisingly chipper, upbeat, sensitive dude. The music is loud, the band's abrasive, and one could easily make an assumption that it's going to be nihilistic rock. But one of the things that I really loved about Andy's music and about our conversation is that it was surprisingly positive, sort of jubilant, scratch acid. Also did a great long interview with Joe Cardamone from the Icarus line and a collaborator of my old friend Mark Lanigan. They recently put out a record called Dark Mark versus Skeleton Joe. And I actually met Joe for the first time at Lanigan's service, and we did a long, just sort of a long hang talking about Mark, the effect, our differing friendships and relationships with him, and the effect he had on our lives. Also did a one long and one short podcast with Roberto Bentavena, another friend I made through Lanigan. We had a fun weekend. He rented a Tesla and we drove up to Flagstaff together. And I value my male friends. I like hanging out with dudes. And two guys together in a Tesla driving up to Flagstaff, we got a whole lot of hashtag love wins kind of looks from people, which is fine. Fuck it. Love does win. Also recording a podcast this week with my old friend, Star Anna. She's a songwriter and artist from Ellensburg, Washington, and she and I have been to hell and back together. I think we did 40 shows in 38 days together once, and still have PTSD from that. Coming up today is conversation I recorded with my old friend Josh Malerman. I know him as Josh from the High Strung. I think a lot of people know him that way. A lot of other people know him as an incredibly, I'm not going to say incredibly prolific, I'm going to say terribly prolific horror writer who wrote a little book called Bird Box that then became a massive online phenomenon when it dropped on Netflix. Josh and I have a hard time putting one word on my relationship with him. We've been friends for a long time through a lot of shit, and I value his heart, his intellect. I'm nakedly envious of his success. I remember touring with the High Strung in 2003, 2004, and I was driving with Chad and the bass player for the High Strung, and he said, Mishka, you're a great songwriter. I really love your songs, and Josh is better. And I've always lived with that. So Chad, fuck you so much for that. And please enjoy this conversation with Josh Malerman. He's really such a beautiful guy, and so much for artists to learn, I think, about how to be an artist without being the opposite of a person. Thank you. Oh my God. What's up, dude?
Hi. I don't know why my headphones weren't working there, but oh well. Hi, your room looks totally awesome. You even have a reel-to-reel.
Yeah, what do they say about an old tape machine? The limitations are endless.
Yeah.
Is that a Chad quote?
Yeah.
Or is that so fucking funny? That's that was the best and the worst thing about High Strung, is that it was you're all wise guys. Everybody was the smartest guy in the room.
Well, listen, dude, it is difficult to outfox Derek in that way, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's, you guys were like, like 70s, like the A-Team or something like that, Derek was he was the sleeper wise man of sitting there in silence and then just spitting out like a Zen cone that just laid everything bare, where you're like, oh fuck, there was an amazing run. I mean, it was probably when we were touring with you, where Derek was more or less like our MC. So it added to the, what do you call it? The democratic nature of this trio or something. Like, this front man wasn't even the one talking between songs. It was the drummer. So you had this lead bass player, a singer and a songwriter, but the drummer was the guy talking to the audience. And there was one time I'll never forget where I broke a string or something. And I turned to Derek and I was like, say something funny. And he was like, you can't just tell me to say something funny, And he's like, that is the best way to make somebody's mind just like dry up, just turn to an endless desert of unfunny shit. Like here's another thing. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, that how many times have you and I checked a mic in our lifetime, and how long have we been doing it, and how quickly does language abandon you completely when you have to check a mic where you're like, brown cow, how now?
No, I know. We're both writers. We write songs. We're like, we're quick on our feet in conversation. The minute you're up there, it's funny, dude. We have a show coming up, right? It's an album release show. And I was honestly already thinking about just, you fantasize about the night of stuff. I was actually already thinking about what I was going to say during the mic check. I'm not even kidding. Like, it crossed my mind. That's how like intimidating and bizarrely brainwashing that moment in time is. Yeah, it is.
Well, also, I mean, that's a survival skill that I think we adapted from life on the road, where you're playing College Junction, wherever the hell, a place you've never been, or a place you've never had a good show, or a place you don't have fans, you don't have anybody coming. Your first opportunity to convert people is during the sound check, where if you're funny, if you're sharp, if the band plays well or is impressive in some way during sound check, then maybe the sound engineer and the bartender will text their buddies and be like, hey, good band playing tonight, you should come and so it's weird that we are that sort of like maniacal control freaks, that we would be like, even the sound check needs to be perfect, and also that how many shows have you played and you're like, oh, this sound check is going to be great? That's
but this is interesting, really interesting what you're saying, and could lead to, an entire conversation in and of itself, right? Because like, we always talk about the difference between playing for an audience who knows you and likes you, and the difference between playing for one who doesn't. And when you're going to the chasm's infinite, and you're playing the same exact songs, you're the same exact songwriter, you're the same exact group of guys, and one feels like you're wearing a cape and spandex, the other one feels like you're the ugliest like pile of lint that rolled into town. So not to stay on the sound check thing, but every moment, like from the minute you walk in the bar, you feel like it needs to represent you in full. When you meet someone, when you're selling an album, it has to represent you in full. And there's a bizarre, I don't know if the word is pressure, but there's a bizarre sense of, I need to be on this entire time, from the minute I walk in here to the minute I walk out. And I worried then, and I worry now, if sometimes that might come off as this guy's running for office, because you're just on and you're making jokes and you're like, oh, tell me about your band and this and that. But it was, and it is coming from a more sincere place of, I only have you for one night, and I care more about the positive shit with all of this. So for me to like either mope or be angry or whatever, it seems like, even if that's like true to how I'm feeling at that moment, it seems like a wasted opportunity to actually meet someone, to actually connect with someone in a big way. I don't know that Derek or Chad feel this way, or Mark or Steven. I would have to ask them, I guess, but I always felt that way. And I just came from a horror writers convention and felt that way the whole time there. Like, and I was there for like 3 days, and there's a sense of, all right, showtime.
You and I, the word blessed is not a word I gravitate to often, but there is no better word to describe the lives that you and I have. We've been so fucking lucky. Our lives are so amazing. We've really there's no reason that we should be getting away with the lives that we have. We're so fucking lucky. But one of the prices of the lives that we have is that you're constantly on stage. I remember like going to see a show, and then I had to take a piss, so I went to the bathroom, and somebody followed me into the bathroom to be like, hey, I'm a big fan, and I was like, man, even with my dick in my hand in possibly one of the most unguarded moments possible, I'm on stage, and this guy is like, oh, is he one of those guys who looks down while he's peeing, or just stares straight ahead like, a Vietnam vet who's like seeing some shit, and the other thing is that every show that we have is also practice, particularly when you guys were like living out of the school bus and stuff like that. And you didn't get a chance to practice. So every show was at once the real thing and also practice for the next one.
And I feel the same exact way about the books, like the same exact way, where the rough draft, you could argue, is a trial run for the book, but it's also a total performance. And even when you're alone in your room, there's a sense of like the rough draft for Bird Box now, to me, is almost, I don't want to say holy, but my God, has it done something for my life, right? Yeah. So I'll look at that rough draft and I'm like, yeah, that was rewritten 11 times, including once from scratch. I started over at one point, but still, that rough draft is what leads to that or whatever. And all those shows, we would play for, if there was 20 people, you're like, not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty damn good, And so there was a sense, some people would argue, and we did that for years, as you know, some people would argue that's like flailing or treading water or something, but it always felt like, and it still feels like it's meaningful in and of itself. Like it's leading somewhere, like it's practice and the real thing at the same time. Like it's better to do it than to not. Like all these things are still, I still feel exactly the same way about it. I remember way back when there was a girl that was saying like, you guys are playing all these shows, but there's no like strategy. You just go, go, go. And I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying, right? It's like, you have a point, but at the same time, it was more important to me, the swirling, and it is, the swirling like momentum of it versus some strategic like master plan, some branding, some sort of like that sort of thing. I've always seen it more like, if you stay in motion, you're not going to end up exactly where you see yourself ending up, like exactly, but because you're in motion, you will end up somewhere.
That's really interesting, because that was one of the things that I felt about the High Strung, was that the road was the destination, and that you guys were constantly leaving and also constantly arriving. And I've been thinking about this word recreation, of that as adults, we don't really play, my dog plays, my cat plays, and but recreation is literally recreation, right? That it's, and going through this thing of, we die each night to go into sleep, and then we're born again each morning. And that was one of the things that I, every single day, the High Strung was a different band. There was continuity, but it's also like going to battle. You have to prove yourself every single night to every audience. It's
No, I love what you're talking about. It's really interesting. It's like every day reborn or something, and you would like bounce back from staying up till 4 a.m. You would drive. I would be writing in the passenger seat. Derek would be driving. Chad would be like actually practicing scales, for crying out loud. And that shows in him being one of the best bass players any of us have ever seen. No, but there is absolutely this, the road is the destination. I said to Derek once, somewhere in there, that I was like, man, if tomorrow we break up, if tomorrow we sell 10 million albums, like, I don't know if we can ever top what we're doing right now. It seemed like we had reached some sort of like, if you're traveling, if you're playing 260 shows a year for an average, again, and I'm saying this number, I don't mean to belittle it, like 20, 30 people a night, average, which sounds amazing. Like at some point you're like, and you're not employing, you're not reaching out for managers or this or that. Like what is you've reached some sort of nirvana. You've reached some sort of like plateau. You've reached, like, you're doing what you want to do. And I remember saying that to Derek, and it almost was like chilled me a little bit, because it was like, you're not supposed to recognize when you're at a spot like that, right? And I remember getting a little chilled, like that's going to happen. We either something amazing or we end up breaking up. We didn't end up breaking up. We didn't end up selling 10 million albums, but what we did do, like, we're still together now, obviously, but we're not on the road anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think what we were both seeking to do with music was to be meaningful. And yes. It's funny because, we talk about getting big, right? The, this band got big, or we never got big, or I dreamt of getting big. But as a watcher, as a listener, as an audience member, if I go to see Eminem, I'm in the fucking nosebleeds, and Eminem is very small. He's gotten so big that he's small. If I go see the High Strung, I'll be in the front row every time. And you guys are much bigger in that moment than a bigger artist who I'm a fucking that I paid $200 to go and watch on a screen because I can't even see them as a person.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. You're full of incredible stuff today, as always. You bring up a topic that I actually have been thinking about a lot lately, because my manager and I started a production company, so we have a lot of like business meetings now, and I've always kind of been bent a little bit that way with the High Strung. I was booking our first like year or two on the road. I'm the guy that would me and Derek would like talk to the labels. Like, so I've had like bent that way a little, but this is different. Now I'm in like meetings with producers and directors and screenwriters and studios. And it's a little like, whoo, right?
Yeah.
And I can hang until the conversation turns to size. Like casting, this actor is bigger than that actor, or this director's a nobody, or this director's hot right now, or this person's huge. When people start talking in those terms, and as you can imagine, that comes up often in those scenarios, I punch out. I don't weigh in. I'm not like, because I just do not see the world that way. I do not see it as like, there's some like ranking on IMDb or whatever of like who the biggest stars are currently. I mean, and that changes regularly. And I'm like, these, not to get too hippie cosmic, but like these are just people. And not only that, most of our favorite movies, star people we've never seen before, especially horror, where it's like someone out of nowhere. Now that person. So let's make the movie that makes that person at the top of that list. Let's not go by that list. But there's this sense there of worth dependent upon, sales, worth dependent upon money you take in. And I get it from a business person's perspective, but it's also to me like wildly short-sighted to see an artist in that way. Because what you're doing is, like you're saying, think about how many like brilliant songwriters we encountered on the road.
Yeah.
And how like if we were just playing, if we were the only ones there, they wouldn't have made that list to consider for this movie, that kind of thing. So size to me, and also inversely, like you and I are doing really well. with books and with music and all this. And I have never, not one time, felt bigger than I felt than traveling with the High Strung playing for nobody.
Yeah.
In fact, I feel like it's the same exact thing. Like, oh yeah, I want to write a new album. I'm talking to Mark about it. I'm feeling a little guilty that I haven't started the new book. I'm like anxious about this thing coming out. You know, I mean, it's like I'm exactly the same spot. It's not like, whew, well, we've crossed the finish line now. Yeah, everything's in order.
it's funny. It's like you've just become more 2003 Josh Malerman. You know.
Yes.
Do you realize we've known each other for fucking 20 years now? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I listening to you talk through this, I feel like you're fortunate to have people in these meetings who are pushing for who's hot, because then you can do what you've always done, which is to fight for the people who are good.
Yep.
And to fight for the unknowns, the underdogs, the nobodies, you know, I saw the flyer you posted the other day with the Teeth, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't thought about that band like forever. You know, the Teeth, Hot Pipes, the Possibilities, and like how that Possibilities record just like blew our fucking hair back for years, you know. And I got a record from Troy Gregory, who played with who plays with Dirt Bombs.
Yeah.
And a record that's just sort of been lost to the ages, but it's a record that I would consider like my source material, that like I keep going back to it and being like, oh, that's one of the, I need to listen to that again. I need to get that sound, that guitar sound, that vocal sound, you know. You
got to send me which album that is. Is it Troy Gregory and the Witches?
No, it's pre-Witches. It's just him solo. It's called Laura. And it's okay. It's you can't find it. I had to message him and be like, dude, I need a copy of this record, but I'll send you a copy of it. It's fucking great. Yeah. I mean, Troy Gregory's just like one of those phenomenal people who's surfed just under making it big. You know, I don't know how he's not huge, but no, dude, it's so funny to like prepare for this conversation and think about our friendship and all the shit we've done together, and the stuff that we've been through, and all the variant lives that we've lived. You know, I was driving with my girlfriend and we were listening to Mallory, and it's so fascinating to go back into that world now post COVID, because there's so many analogies, you know, in that work. And we were driving back from LA and we got stuck behind a Bluebird school bus. And I looked at her and I said, you know, the guy who wrote this, when I met the guy who wrote this book, he was living in a Bluebird school bus. And she looked at me and she was like, what? You know, and that's the correct response. Like, it's fucking incredible, you know, but also like, listening to Mallory, and experiencing that work through the lens of our friendship was so fucking rewarding to hear you writing about Michigan and the Upper Peninsula and Saginaw, and that Michigan and Detroit is such a landscape of memory of your childhood, of everything you love, of like in your enthusiasm, your engagement with the world, and then also the way you write, and I kept coming back to the moment in The Talisman, The Gunslinger, Stephen King, where he one guy curses a woman that if she ever says the number 19, she'll go mad. And then so she's just trying to be like 17, 18, 20, 17, and then she thinks about it. She says it in her head one time, and then she goes crazy. You know, and then, you know, sort of through that and through Mallory's terror of going mad, of her children going mad, of like losing this precarious life that she's built for herself, I could see young Josh, pre-High Strung, like reading 1980s paperback Stephen King horror novels and just consuming it like it was fucking sugar water, right? Because I mean, that shit for us, that was just so, it was so powerful. I remember like just reading late in the night with a flashlight under, scaring the shit out of myself. You know,
it got to the point where the actual books on the shelf almost like, it seemed like something dangerous was in the room, or like a spider was in the room, or like, like you would like look at The Shining on the shelf and it would be like unsettling because you had just read about the woman in the bathtub. Yeah. And you're like, then the book's still in your room. So like, there's no, like, you can't just like turn the movie off. It's like sitting there, the spine and the cover and his name. And you're thinking about like that woman in the bathroom and you're like, oh boy, like I need to, it's almost like I need to get rid of it. But no way would you get rid of it. I think I had Skeleton Crew, Firestarter, The Shining. I had The Dead Zone, but I didn't read it. Cujo for sure. And these were like, they were all uniform too, like black covers with like his like font and like just a singular image. And it was, I remember there was a bookstore near where we grew up called Book People. I think Chad's buddy worked there for a while when we got older, but anyway, and I would go in there with my mom and I would walk. I mean, I didn't have to read the section. I knew it was where all the black spines were.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, that's the horror section. That's the one. I want one of these. Anything with a pitch black spine and red title. I was like, that's what I want. That
is a great name for a band. Black Spines. That'll be our next project that we throw shitloads of time and money and effort into to play for 10 to 15 people.
Dude, I'm considering, like, I have this 4-track over like right. I mean, you can kind of see it right there. Can you see it?
I love that you have the 4-track in plain sight, and I have the reel to reel.
Yeah,
we have the same room.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's truly mind bending. There's an acoustic guitar. There's a 4-track. We have a piano, and I'm thinking like, ooh, what about a 4-track album with like pitch shifted piano? You know, like some, you know, I could play like something like dun 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 dun, and then just like, I mean. For what are we even talking about? I don't know, but my mind immediately goes to, it's got to be a full album. And what are we going to call it? And what's the cover art going to be? And this is going to be amazing. You could add it to your list on Wikipedia of albums, and it can come out in 2022. And I mean, it's like, you know, Derek, there was this like little documentary made about me before Bird Box the movie came out. And in it, Derek said something that kind of like freaked me out a little. He was like, Josh has always been a little bit about numbers with art. He's like, he doesn't want to write a book. He wants to write a lot. He wants to have a lot of books. He wants to have a lot of albums. And it freaked me out at first, right? Because there can sound like something like hollow in there. Like you're only doing it for numbers' sake. But then it struck me that like, wait, whatever compels you, whatever gets you to do it is good. Whether that's guilt of not writing, whether it's trying to outdo your last one, whether it's numbers, whether it's overwhelming feelings that you got to get it on paper, whatever. And the reason I feel this way is because I've come to this conclusion. Tell me if you agree that the days that you are quote unquote inspired to write are actually no better than the days that you weren't. And if you wrote every single day, and then you go back, you force yourself to write every single day, and you go back at the end of the year and you read it all. You will have no idea which days you were quote unquote inspired and felt it and which ones you didn't. So once you come to that realization, well, shouldn't I be writing all the time or as much as possible? I kind of see it. I equate this often, and I'm sure that you do, to athletics and to running and that kind of thing where, you don't feel like doing it today, but if you get it, you got to get up and do it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, yes, Derek is right there. I do have like this like thirst for like, I want to put another album on the list. I want to put another book, but it's also coming from this like place of realizing that like, whether I feel it or not, this book or this album will be just as worthy as the album or book before it.
I see why you had, like sort of a queasy reaction to that comment, but I think that it's actually really beautiful. When we think about shows and touring and stuff like that, you know, like what's going to be the best show? And it's always the next one, the next one, the next one. You know, that's the one where we're going to transform. And you put, you know, for running, you put a bunch, you know, 3 months of shitty runs together, and that leads to your fastest marathon, you know, or just your most fun race, you know, and I don't know. I think it's so admirable that, you know, for me, I wanted to write a book, and I think it's so admirable that you wanted to have a body of work, but also every song of yours that I've listened to, every book that I've read, you write it like it's your last one.
Oh yeah. And I imagine you are the same in that you give it your all. You're 100% and you're invested. There was one that I went back to, and because I was like, oh, I'm going to rewrite this. This one maybe could be the next novel to come out. And I was kind of like astonished at how like flat it was. There was one, it's called A Nightmare Got In. And I love the idea. I'll just tell you real fast because it's fun. It's you go over to a friend's house, you're a kid, and the mom's always telling you to play in the basement, you two, you know? And upstairs, you kind of hear, while you're playing video games, you hear the parents arguing, and then you kind of smell sage the next time. And then you hear a bunch of people up there. And then essentially it leads to an entire like exorcism of a house, but off screen, upstairs, while the two main characters are in the basement. So you overhear an exorcism of a house. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I fucking love this, you know? And I wrote it with all this like fervor, it felt like, but when I went back and read it, it was really flat. Like, what I mean by that with writing is when you get to and then when you get to that vibe, you're like, whoa, what were you? And maybe I was like tired. Maybe Allison and I were like touring for the books a lot at that period. I don't remember. So anyway, the point is I do, and I'm sure you feel the same way with your own stuff. I do have like the Boston Garden parquet floor. There's a couple dead spots, right? Where you're like, do we fix this? Or is that kind of part of the charm? Like, you know, it's like, just like.
That was such a specific analogy. So great.
And it's like the ball didn't bounce back off that one. I guess we're gonna have to do that one again from scratch. But in a general sense, and even with that one, definitely try to like give it your all. You know, you do the same thing.
Yeah, I try to. I don't know. There have been a lot of times where I feel like I've come up short or I've gotten distracted with other things. You know, one of the things I've sort of been processing lately is my friend Mark Lanigan died. And
oh yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Thank you. One of the things about that guy is that he would just wake up in the morning and grab a pen and go for it. And if there wasn't a pen there, a pencil, a crayon, a stick to scratch in the dirt, you know, there were no obstacles between him and the work. And before I can sit down to work, I'm like, well, I need to clean my room. And then I need to organize my tape collection. And then I need to alphabetize my socks. And then I will be ready to, you know, so putting every obstacle I can between myself and that uncomfortable moment where you're staring at a blank page and you're like, it's like sound check. You're like, it's like English becomes a second language. You know, you're just like, I have no ideas. I have no words. Everything I've said before. I can hear my own voice in my head. I'm so sick of my voice. And all this negativity creeps in. And Lanigan had none of that. It just, you know, he was like a superconductor. Like the shit just flowed through him. I feel weird saying this on the heels of what you just said, but I'm like him on that. I don't know how to explain it. I almost feel like, I think Owen one time said to me that like, he doesn't like just great movies. He also likes spectacular failures. Uh-huh. And it made me think, you know, when I sit down to write, like, okay, what's, you know, the best book I ever read, the worst book I ever read. What if I break the spectrum on either side with what I sit down and do now? This is gonna be legendary. So, and if I don't, it's gonna end up somewhere on the spectrum of things I've read and loved, you know? So there's always this sense of like,
you're going to be fine. It's better to do it than to not. It's you may achieve the best thing you've ever done. You may not. Either way, it adds, and even if it's a lemon, it adds to the body of work. Stephen King has lemons. Alfred Hitchcock has lemons, where you're like, yeah, that Hitchcock movie's all right, and then you're like, wait, I'm talking about like one of the greatest filmmakers ever, and I'm saying that, well, okay, then isn't it okay if your story is a little short or if my book's a little short? Well, yeah, it is. So I've seen people like on Twitter, they'll be like, talking about imposter syndrome. And I have never felt that. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the size thing.
Uh-huh.
Like if there's no size, if there's no bigger or this, or this guy was born for this, or this woman's voice is so great and mine's terrible. It's like, if you don't think of things in those terms, then you'll never feel like an imposter. You think that there's room for everybody, number one, and anybody can do this if they put in the work and time. So
yeah.
I guess I'm a little more like him, but I also a little more like you, what you just described, in that I find myself doing that too. I'm like, well, maybe I should do this first. And I should, I was going to do this after, but why don't I watch this movie first? It's very important that I watch this movie before I write.
Well, hi. As many of you know, I've been very reluctant to start a podcast. It feels a little bit like the MLM art form, sort of like it's the emotional equivalent. Me urging you to listen to my podcast is the emotional equivalent of trying to sell you Amway. But since I have you here, let me try and sell you something else. Obviously the podcast doesn't make any money and hopefully never will. But it gives me an opportunity to shill for the other things that I do, that I have been doing, that I continue to do. I have t-shirts, records, CDs. Does anybody listen to CDs anymore? I don't. Do you need a car, a guitar? I'll sell you anything. But I also want to sell you my book. I just self-published a collection. It's sort of the 10-year collection of all my best-selling Kindle singles that I published with Amazon. And I will, one by one, I'm going to read you the blurbs off the back of the book. Today, of course, we're going to feature a blurb by my friend Josh Malerman, New York Times best-selling author of Bird Box and Pearl. Mishka Shubaly loves existence as much as he loathes it. For this, we get the grunge and the glory, the funny and the fear. There's a sense here that Shubaly took the stairs to life's basement, touched the concrete floor to be sure he knew where it was, before beginning the magnificent climb up, often laughing at his own propensities. Full of grit, guts, spirit, and truth. Is there a better storyteller than the one who has lived as many lives as this? You will relish the spectrum, the gamut, the life Mishka Shubaly has lived. Josh, such a beautiful blurb. Thank you. If you're listening, please buy a copy of the book. You can find me on all over social media. I'm at Mishka Shubaly on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's $30, postage paid in the U.S. Send it to me through Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Carrier Pigeon. You get the deal. I do have to tell you obviously you know that I love you dearly, and also I've always been so deeply resentful of the how facile the work was to you, the rate at which you wrote songs. You would just grab a guitar and be like, okay, this is going to be a song. I'm just going to strum, and then the next chord, and then, oh, okay, that's a thing, and then I'm going to put that thing with this other thing, and and your songwriting always seemed to feel so free of anxiety for me, where I would learn one of your songs, and I was like, oh man, it's just a 1-4-5 progression. But the way that he plays it and the way that they play it it sounds brand new because you guys always performed with such enthusiasm, such vigor. And I can see that in your writing too, the reading your writing, listening to your writing. I'm like, Josh is having a great fucking time right now. He's like sitting there at the typewriter or the computer, like tapping his foot because he's so excited, and like just, this sentence and then the next one. And then, and I mean, down to us traveling in the bus together and you being able to read, because when I read in the car, I get car sick. And I was like, God, this motherfucker, he can read on the bus. He can write on the bus. He's working, so hard all the time. And I was like, just, bullshitting with Chad or Derek or Mark, but I don't know. It's so rewarding now to know an artist who still now, after this massive body of work, takes such delight in his work.
Man, dude, I'm going to turn this around and say the same thing to you. It's like, we met you said 20 years ago. We met in 2003.
I guess it was spring of 2003. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause we met at Blackout Fest in Athens.
Oh yeah. That's what it was. Yep.
Yeah.
I was about to say CMJ. I knew it was like a fest. Yeah. And same thing to you. Like we went on, like pulled off what we felt like was an impossible to beat feat of endurance on the road. And you were going forever after. You're still touring regularly. Oh. You're still going out regularly. You're still writing songs and albums regularly. And then oftentimes I'm like jealous of that. I'll be like, man, Mishka's fucking going on the road. And Chad and me will talk about it. Like, I have no idea if the show that you play that night that I see you're playing, I have no idea if it was good, bad, crap, doesn't matter. I know that it's fucking awesome that you're doing it and that you're there and you're probably loving every second of it.
It is incredibly valuable, I think, to have friends who are artists who you're jealous of. I've always felt bad about that, but it just occurred to me that virtually everyone who I've had on the podcast is, an artist who I'm friends with, who I've been jealous of their work, their life, but also if you surrounded yourself with people who you looked at their lives and you were like, well, I've got him beat. Like what a prick you would be, and what a dull life that is. Like
that sounds, wow. That sounds, I might, or maybe you'll use it, but I want to use that somewhere in a book, like a character that thinks that way is just, whoo, that is evil. Or just like,
that's a character who is begging for comeuppance. To just have it turned.
Yeah, that guy's going to at one point step into the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that is like the dude in Thinner. That he definitely feels like everyone should be jealous of him. Go ahead.
Okay, this is interesting, and I truly feel like everything you're bringing up right now, I could talk for like an hour on.
I know.
But this envy thing, because I feel like it is a little different now. Like it used to be, we would see some posters of a band, or maybe you'd hear about a band doing well or something, or, you're in town at the same time, or someone's talking about another band. But now, like, you're literally like in your field or whatever. So for me, like writing horror or whatever, like literally every day you're seeing how well, or announcements or whatever from other writers in the field every day. And you're like, this one is announcing like a movie deal. This one is announcing a new book deal. This one just finished a novel. This one is starting a novel. This one is just put out their debut novel. This one learned how to like self-publish and it's working great. This one has an amazing cover art. It's almost like, wow, you have to like, it's almost unnatural. Well, it's definitely unnatural. We're like the way we're witnessing all this, but it's also almost unnatural to ask yourself not to have those like stabs of like envy, those stabs of jealousy. Like, so what I try to do is like the moment will happen and it'll be like, right. And then just like let it get out of here. Let it fade. Let it fade into, as you said at the beginning, dude, you are blessed. You are lucky. You are writing books. There's room for everybody. Like, dude, do your thing. Keep doing your thing. And also be happy that person's doing their thing. But there is that initial, you can't you can't deny it. There is that initial sort of stab of it. And it's like, man, because you're seeing like, and then you're like, am I doing something wrong? It's just natural to equate someone's success to like, are you doing it right as well? But I try to minimize it down to like a pinch on the arm or a friend socked you in the shoulder. Just let's try to keep that as small a feeling as we can.
I feel like for me, I have to feel it and sort of explore it and express it. The best, fastest way for me to get over it is to tell my friends how jealous I feel about them. And then once I feel that, then I can move on to the next thing, which is I'm so fucking proud of you, dude. I'm so proud of you. You have worked so fucking hard for so long, and you've always cared about it, and you've always been so invested, but also you were always totally engaged with your friends, with your family, with people around you, with people you cared about, with different fans in different towns and different scenes. You know, I mean, I think of like the relationship that we have with Scott Winland, you know, that to say he's a friend, in no way does that encompass the depth of the relationship that we've had with him and the way we've sort of moved through life together with him. You know, he's almost like the man on the mountain, you know, go and consult the oracle. And but to see you be able to generate so much work, so much good work, and also be a real fucking person and be a good person who's engaged in their life and not not some shutaway. I don't know, man. I'm super fucking proud of you. I like every time I see your name on a new book, I'm like, that motherfucker. Like, kudos to Josh.
Yeah,
like,
man. Same to you. And this, look, someone once told me never start a sentence with look or listen.
All right, that's all we're going to do from here on out.
Like, oh God. And I can't remember which story of yours, but there's the thing. It's funny. I mean, a lot of it's fucking hilarious, but there's the one where it's saying that like the musician is something like the same age, like same age expectations as a porn star. So when you're like 22, you should be at the top of your game.
Yeah.
By 27, you're like on the way out or whatever. And I remember we were in Athens, Georgia, actually. And we were 27 because in 2003, we were 28. Wow. In 2003, we were 28. The High Strung were 28. Chad was 26, I guess. And I remember a girl saying to Owen, we were only on the road for 1 year at that point. I remember a girl saying, Owen, you guys are playing a young man's game. You're only 28 years old. When I see a 28-year-old now, they seem like a child. And I'm like, wow, you know, the world has changed a bit in that way, but I want to bring something up to see what you make of this. Like, so the High Strung just remixed and mastered an old album that we made.
I saw that.
But then we also, because we were all together,
I think I have a CD of that somewhere.
Oh, you do? Well, it sounds way better now. I'll send it to you. Awesome. Because it was like, God, I love it. But anyway, and because we were all working on that, we ended up making a new album together also. So we recorded that in my house.
Like, let's just tag another album on the back of this one that we're.
Yeah. So
they're just happening accidentally now.
So that sometimes the books are like that. But anyway, so Mark and I were talking. I'm not speaking for Mark because I don't know if he would agree with this, but I did bring this up to him that in a weird way, I'm glad we never had the like pour some sugar on me moment, because if you had, you would literally always be comparing it to, and I brought up your story because like what you did when you were 22, 23 or whatever, but we've never have had like, what do you call it? Like a period. I feel like we've never had a period that was better or worse than what was before it. So it's always been, that's not to paint the picture of some lame, practical middle ground. I just feel like it's like we are able to now make an album with the same fresh, why the hell not, as we did then? Because what are we comparing this to? Like life on the road. Yeah, that's pretty romantic. When we first met, yes, that's pretty romantic. But how about this is the first time I've ever owned a house and we're recording it in my house. And we're also like the sense of like, wow, we're in our 40s and we all are still madly in love with each other and we're making another album. That's pretty fucking awesome too. So there doesn't seem to be a period that outshines the period before it. And for that, we are able to now like completely cleanly make a new album and not be feeling like, oh, well, now we might as well do another. It's like, no, it's the same. Like, hey, Owen, how many songs you got? I got this many. And then what if we did this with this? And then, you know, and oh, what if we bring in this guy and we're all like too serious about a fucking guitar overdub? You know, it's the same exact thing. And so I wonder, and I'm asking you too, it's not like saying like, thank God we never made any money or never became famous. It's not quite that. But it's like, it is saying like, I do wonder if there's something to be said about the artistic career that is just fucking steady like that versus this like peaks and valleys. Like, would we all still be together and excited to make another album if we did have the pour some sugar on me moment?
So I think what you're positing is it's better to be a never was than a has been, because like to describe ourselves as never was, it sounds harsh, but it means our best moment is still ahead of us, that there's still that potential. You know, I think about a band like the Strokes, you know, who I've always been tremendously envious of. They putting out records now, people are like, oh, you know, the Strokes, they're sort of like an Is This It cover band, you know, and you know, don't get me wrong, I would love to be in that band and have that career and have that trajectory in a heartbeat, but we can make it. I think we can make an argument that our pour some sugar on me moment is still ahead of us, that there's still the potential there to achieve that. And then also you and I are moving into like old man strength now, you know, where you shake your dad's hand or whatever, and you're like, motherfucker, you're like, you're going to break my hand. You know, that he's got that, like, you know, it's like, why are you still this strong? Like you know, and I always said that, I mean, maybe this is just because I felt like a failure when I was younger, but I always said that I was on the Howling Wolf model, that I was going to make my best music like in my 50s and 60s.
Well, okay, man, so much to say about this, but like, first of all, it seems like never before has the world been like makes that more accessible than now, meaning there's room for everyone. Like you can easily imagine a band now, a rock band even, putting out an album at like 60 years old that like succeeds in this internet dome, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it used to be like you had to be 22, like you were saying about the porn star, but it isn't like that anymore. It really isn't. I'm like, debut authors are typically in their 40s. And I mean, there's a million examples of these kind of things, but I think another thing that is like exemplified through this career rather than just your best moments ahead of you is like there's no question why we're doing this. We just love it. There's just no question. If it was for fame, then you would have stopped a long time ago. If it was for like a ton of money, you would have stopped a long time ago. If it was so obviously you're just thrilled by it. And that is something that you can believe or think when you're 25, but you don't know. You don't have that proof of that till you are about the age we are now. And you're like, holy shit. Owen and I are like calling each other nervously going over the song order like we fucking were in 1998.
That is the best when you were talking about Hannah, you were like, you know, going through 8 different thoughts, but you still at one point paused and you were like, oh, it's so great. And that's the thing, is that to be able to continue to be your first fan this late in the game and not feel like, oh, another record, oh, another song, or you know, Hannah's an old record, you know, and to look back on it and be like, oh God, the things we said then we'd never say now, you know, or I was going through a weird phase at that point or whatever, you know, to still care so much, you know, that you and, you know, imagine you and Mark, you know, texting late at night the same way, you know, kids had the fucking tin can telephone or walkie talkies or whatever.
Yep.
You know, the talking about girls or the big game coming up or whatever, you know, and for us it was, you know, 4 tracks in the album order and stuff like that. To still care so much at this point that it causes you anxiety. That's
right.
It's a great
There's
thing.
no sense of like, oh, Mark, who cares? You just do it. Like, no, here's another, and I'm flying all over now, but here's another thing that you definitely can relate to too. This is interesting because there's 2 worlds we're straddling, right? And the music world, while it's definitely changed, there's still like a sense, at least our generation was it was pounded into our brains that the band's supposed to be young. Whereas on the music side, you and I are still doing it. On the writing side, we're of age.
Yeah.
Like Dave, like I said, debut novelist. I remember there was recently Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, was talking about an author, and he was like he's one of the better young guys on the scene, and the guy was 50 that he was talking about. And it's like that. So there's a strange dichotomy there too, where in the book world, I'm like somewhat fresh-faced, you know, guy in the horror world still, because these other people have been there for like 30, 40 years. And on the music side, it's like, you're still doing it. So there's a strange juggling act there, an identity juggling act where I have to kind of like step back from both and just be like, you know, these titles, these descriptions, old for this, young for that. Neither of these matter. All that matters, again, is this body of work and like keep going and just be grateful this is happening at all. But it is a bit of an identity screw to be old in one medium and like young in the other. Yeah,
it feels so weird to say this because I feel like there are so many points in our lives where we felt like we were just like lost and had like fucked everything up completely. But we did it right. Of just God, when I moved to New York, I was so insecure and I was so arrogant. You know, I remember telling myself that I was going to get signed by a major label, get published in one of the big 3, like the, you know, Harper's, the Atlantic, or the New Yorker, and get a book deal by the time I was 25. And now I'm like, thank fucking God I didn't.
No,
because I would be dead or washed up or just done with all of it. And you know, now to be the old guy at the gig, like, you know, telling the kids like, oh yeah, no, if you string your guitar like this, it'll stay in tune better or whatever, you know, or showing them how to set up a guitar or, you know, or how to book a tour or shit like that. Man, yeah. It feels so good to be paying back into, you know, the pool where I remember hanging out backstage and just like grilling Mick from Dirt Bombs, like, you know, well, and then how do you do this and what, you know, how did this work? And, you know, and he just sat there and talked to me, you know, and he was more than happy, you know, that you would meet these artists on the road who were happy to tell you everything that they knew. You know, so it sounds so weird to say, but we were right to go crazy and to fucking hit it hard when we were young, and we were right to move into writing when we did, and we're right to keep fucking going and to keep making music. And, you know, some of my favorite records are just somebody who's just croaking. Fred Eaglesmith is, you know, I think he's probably like 70 now, you know, and the earliest records of his that I've gotten into, you know, he was probably over 50. And Andy Andrist has this great joke where he talks about, like, you know, why do we put 18-year-old kids in the military? Like, they have nothing to be angry about yet. A man in his 40s, just tell me give me a gun and tell me what color to shoot at. You know? Like, because You know, I thought I was angsty when I was a kid, man. I'm full of like just rage and venom now, like, you know, out like hosing down my driveway, just scowling at fuck you, man. You know, like I just
shit, man. Yeah.
Moving into that like just crusty like old man energy, man, I love it, you know. And also I think I have so much less anxiety now than I did when I was a young man. So I will go out and like just fucking play with my dog and lay on the ground and like walk around my neighborhood. It gets so hot here, dude. If I you know, I know that I can't wear like a dashiki, but if I could wear like a muumuu or like just something that's long flowing robes, that's not like insensitive cultural appropriation, I will do that if it'll keep me cool in the summertime and just float through my neighborhood like that. I don't give a shit, you know. They already think I'm fucking crazy. And I couldn't have done that when I was 25, when I was 27, you know.
I sometimes in interviews, someone will ask, you know, like, how did the movie Bird Box like change you? You know, your book became a bestseller. You were able to buy a house. All these like holy shit things, and it's like every single time I try to examine that. I'm like, okay, how has it? You know, am I like walking around town like, yes, I'll have a martini? You know, no, and it's like, well, that movie didn't come out until I was 43 or 44 years old. Yeah. Like, I was almost insulated against the kind of things that I feel like that question suggests. How has it changed you? You know, I guess it could be for the better, but it sort of suggests something else to me. But that's all right. But the point is, I mean, dude, all those shows that you and us played and writing books in a van and just doing it and going and going. I had a girl met me at this bar. There was a 5-year run where me and a bunch of friends it's one of the greatest periods of my life, where we were like 6 nights a week at this bar in the Detroit area. And it was amazing. I wrote a bunch of books there, and the High Strung played there. And it was just a real electrifying drunk period in our 30s, right? And at some point, a girl from high school met me there during the afternoon. She asked to meet me there. And we're sitting at this like high top. And she's like, I came here to tell you that I feel like you need a plan B. And I was like, oh shit. You know, that's why we're meeting up right now, you know? And she was like, yeah, like you're writing all these books. Like, how many have you written? And I was like, something like 12 or something, you know? She's like, Jesus, man. And like, you're playing all these shows and you're drinking with your friends and you're unmarried and you don't have kids. And you're like, it's kind of got to a point where you may have to think of a plan B. Like, what are you doing with yourself? And even then, in the like facing what I guess you could argue would be the practical world embodied in this one female at this high top in a bar in Michigan, I was like, no, I'm doing it right. Like, even then I was like, no. I wasn't for one second like, oh shit, maybe I do need to. And then I start looking at like accounting school. Like, no, I was like, no, she doesn't get, or she not in any, even in a mean way. Isn't able to see like the beauty or like, holy shit, greatness of this path. Yeah. And you and I, like you said, blessed and lucky, like no shit, but also back to that, if you stay in motion, you're going to end up somewhere. That this idea of momentum, I see it more as we did it right, like you're saying, and we have to keep doing it right.
I hope you feel incredible gratitude to this woman, because I think you and I are good at recognizing how sweet our lives have been, and we're good at pointing out to each other how lucky we are. But she just posited an argument far more compelling than one that either of us could make, as to how you've made the right decisions and how you've chosen the right path and how you became who you were the entire time. You've always been this guy. It would feel ingenuine for me to ask how Bird Box changed you, because
Right. I would never ask.
I can't
like,
see a single fucking
so
thing.
Bizarre.
I feel like you're wearing the same hat you were wearing in 2003. You were like sleeping in.
The only thing different is like it's a collar shirt instead of a t-shirt. Everything, like I even have cowboy boots over here. But and then stretch this over to Chad, who, my God, is like making albums in his basement.
Yeah.
And Owen, who I just went and saw Owen sing with a friend of ours named Jim. Just saw them do like a harmony duo, like a few songs Mark wrote and a few songs Jim wrote, and they're singing at this like garden in Detroit for like well, it was actually the kind of a lot of people there, but like I'm like, Owen is like, and he's nervous to do it. And I'm talking to him beforehand, and you can tell he's a little riled up. And we're talking about the PA sound after, and like, oh, that vocal sound could have been a little better. And like, you know, Chad was there at the gig, and Steven couldn't make it, but Steven, who's recording, I don't think you've met Steven.
Yeah. I always think of him as the new guy, and he's been playing with you guys for like 15 years. Or
yeah, he's been for like 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. No. You're right. No, it is. Oh my God. Steven's been
I
like
know,
12.
right?
Yeah. You're right. Anyway, and he's like recording songs and plays in another band and doing like scales all the time and shit. And I'm like, all these guys are like, this is who they are.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's, you know, this is almost like a happy Twilight Zone, to think of it this way. Like maybe that's why you and us became friends. Because like we recognize like birds of a feather, like we recognize that in each other. Like this guy's genuine, not the real deal. Like some cutthroat, musician who's gonna make this scene. No, someone who's actually doing this and going to do this forever, just like we are. Maybe we recognize that even then.
Well, I think there was useful dissonance too. Because you guys were so relentlessly positive, and that's something that I've always struggled with. But we and musically we were very different. But I think what was so important to us was just making something that was real, that was just saying exactly what we needed to say in the moment, regardless of whether anybody gave a shit or not. There's so many like speaking our truths or whatever the fuck, but just being in that moment exactly who we were, being able to look in the mirror and recognize yourself. There have been so many times in my life where I didn't. I guess, writing songs, writing stories, when it works, it is like looking in a mirror and seeing details of yourself that maybe you didn't recognize before. But let's talk real quickly about Bird Box and Mallory and that world and that experience. Now that we're in, love in the time of COVID, or, whatever weird amorphous time period we're in now, how do you reflect back? Because I couldn't listen to Mallory without thinking about the analog between the fold and the mask and but then I was like, oh, I want to pitch Mallory to Josh as it's a horror novel. It's about two innocent children and their nightmare of a helicopter mother, and they're trying to escape her so they can live their own fucking lives. There's like a great moment where sort of like Mallory's like, oh God, I'm such a bitch and I can't, and I have to be to keep my kids alive. But it's so, what keeps them alive and keeps them safe and keeps them sane is blindness, is not seeing the truth, and I think that's how a lot of like QAnon people see us, of like, take off your mask and free yourself, and like the Democratic Party is run by pedophiles and like all this shit where it's like, what? man, like, wait, what? You know,
I know. I know. No, my God, there's a fucking 5-hour talk about that shit. But I will say one of the strangest, like, I didn't realize this till after, obviously I wrote Mallory before, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's weird because Mallory is our conservative and she's super pro-mask. And Tom is our Tom the kid, for any listeners that maybe read Bird Box. Tom is our super progressive, but he's not anti-mask, but he's like, we can, like, there's a way better way to do this.
Right.
So in a bizarre way, I can see like almost accidentally, like both sides can misinterpret it to be like relating to them, because Mallory's she's absolutely the voice of reason here. And like, I don't know about you, but I would take Mallory's opinion over anyone else in that book. Like if I ended up in that world, I'd be like, where is she? I'm going to do whatever she says. I don't care if that means I have to sit still for the rest of my life with a blindfold on. I'm going to do it.
She's the Scott Winland of the book.
Yeah. She's like, I'm listening to her. But Tom, he's also right. And that town that they're Indian River, and like the notes from there sound like horrifying, but also like, how the fuck else are we going to get through this? In a way, those notes are describing herd immunity.
Well, and then Olivia is one of those people who just never gets COVID.
Right. Right.
And you're like, what the fuck? Why have you been passed over? You know, I think part of it is the large scale psychic scarring, you know, the psychic scarring that we've all endured from, you know, COVID and lockdown and stuff like that, you know. And it's funny, Mallory has this beautiful rant about like, you've taken the world from us. You've taken, you know, looking out the window or staring, you know, looking at the scenery and what COVID took from us was each other. We've all been, you know, just isolation and separation. And I don't think there's a single one of us who didn't fucking underestimate how much we need other people, whether it's the dude at the bodega whose name you never learn, but he's like your buddy, you know, that you would do anything for him. The two, you know, our loved ones, our parents, you know, our brothers and sisters, you know, our closest friends, it's wild, dude. It's so wild that you generated this work that fiction that speaks more truth about not just about our world, but about the world that was coming. You know, it's so prescient.
Yeah. We had, because all the readings we do are like theatrical readings, right? And we had this amazing thing set up at the Detroit Zoo where there's a train that goes around the zoo, you know, like, I mean, it's not just for kids. It'll take you from one end to the other. And we rented it. And we were going to have everyone blindfolded on the train, and I was going to read the book through the speaker. I mean, what an awesome idea, right? And it would stop. It would make a few stops on the way, and at those stops, Allison and others would perform a scene unseen to the people on the train. They would hear an event to the right of them, and then hear an event, and then it all led up to like there's a sort of like a movie theater thing in the zoo. It all led up to like a reception there, like we all hang out and drink and stuff. So that was all planned. And that's one of the last things we did before everything shut down was went to the zoo to like make sure of it and blah, blah. And then there was the lockdown like 2 weeks later or something. So that reading was like canceled. And from the get-go, I'm, you know, just like you watching the NBA cancel and this cancel, and then masks what are they masks? What are you talking about? Like I've only ever seen like kind of like an old person wearing a mask walking around, you know, like, you know,
yeah.
And then and it started to feel like, whoa, I have this book coming out that suddenly felt like you could argue like, wow, what timing? The other one is, oh God, what time? Who the fuck wants to read this right now? So it was like, oh man, I don't know exactly what to do with this. You know, I started to get nervous. My original idea for Mallory, and now that I think about this, it's like I almost wish that I had done this, was I wanted the whole book to be her in that hole. Like,
oh my God.
I almost wanted the entire novel to be I mean, it's not a conversation between her and a creature because the creature maybe isn't even there. But essentially, it's like her, like a fucking 300 pages of railing against them, what they stole from her, And I'm like, God, that is badass. But that's not an easy thing to maintain, man. You would need cutaways. You would need this,
Yeah. That's like Beckett too.
But that's what I love about it. Yeah. Maybe one day I would do a book 3 that has something similar to that. I don't know, but I don't know.
It's listening to Mallory too. There's so much. The book is so full of dread and anxiety that I kept having to turn it off. And then I'd be like, well, I gotta know. And I would turn it back on. And I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. And have to turn it back off. We'll wrap up here in a minute, but the two other things. When the movie Bird Box dropped and it was instantly fucking everywhere. I kept seeing like memes pop up, and it was just and what I imagined was you just giggling through the whole thing, like that, it being so funny to you and so entertaining. But how was that? Was it so bizarre? Was it so weird? I know when the long run hit, I was just like, and it leapfrogged over Dean Koontz and Stephen King to go to number 1. And I was like, I just dethroned Stephen. That's fucking bullshit, man. Are you crazy? Like, no, this is
fucking wild, right? It felt like standing at the head of like a wind tunnel, like a giant air blower dryer, like against you. Like, what is going on here? And it kept increasing and increasing. Allison and I, we held like a party the night it came out on Netflix. We rented it used to be like an old like Ford showroom or something. So there's like seats, like 70 seats, fold out chairs in this like little officey kind of, you know what I mean? Like a corporate showroom or something, but there's a screen. So on the screen, we had invited a bunch of friends, there were drinks and food, and we watched this movie. And then the next day, maybe Allison and I drove to the UP. So it was like 8 hours north. We got there, we're like doing our thing. At some point we go to bed and I woke up and like 1,000 notifications and stuff. And I was like, whoa, I guess the movie's doing well or something. And so we were up north when this whole thing happened we were up there for like 10 or 11 days, which is about I guess it was longer than that, but no. Yeah. Because on the drive home, this is where it sort of all peaks out for us. On the drive home, we were in like an ice storm and we were like moving really slow. And my agent called to say that, dude, Bird Box is number 4 on the bestseller list. And it was like, what? That was the moment where it was like, this is unbelievable. Or, this is so weird. Kim Kardashian's tweeting about and Stephen King said, but Bird Box on the New York Times bestseller list changed something. That was like, wait, that's not, whether that means shit or not, and whether how many that sells or sold or not. I mean, that is like, I've been something, buying books my entire life and seeing New York Times bestselling author and this and that. So that moment was like something like profound or something, That was fucking nuts. Yeah. And you're describing the same thing. It's like, you're like, what do you mean I'm number 1? Like, what does that even mean? But then at the same time, why not? Why not you and I? Why not?
Yeah. There's, such a sense of like unreality about it. But there's a great lesson there that perhaps you and I aren't the best judges of our own merits, and that we need to struggle to see the guy, the person, the writer that who other people see. For people reading Bird Box, none of them were like, oh, I can't believe this book is on the bestseller list. They were like, I can't believe it isn't number 1, or it was like finally Josh Malerman is getting his due, your hardcore fans from like back in the day. So I'll never get used to it, you know, and I think I forget it at every turn.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's so weird. I have moments like that too, where I go back into thinking about exactly the stuff I've always thought about, and the same worries, the same hopes, the same whatever, and then it'll cross my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, oh my god, like you're a best-selling author, or you have a movie. You know, there's other movies. There's like a bunch of other movie stuff happening right now.
Yeah. You're a master of the elliptical tweet, but I'm always like, oh fuck, what's coming next? You know,
it's like, I don't know if you have stuff like this as well, but it's one of like the most frustrating parts of this whole thing for me is that we just can't talk about these things. Like,
I know.
It drives me nuts because it's like, we're not talking about Fort Knox here. We're not talking about the code for your luggage, man. We're just talking about like possibly a movie being made. Like, it's okay to fucking talk about this, you know? And it drives me absolutely bonkers. But you know, if I say something, then I could be upsetting someone and then the project's jeopardized. So I end up not saying it. But this is something that I talk to my manager about endlessly. Like, one time we even tried to leak something and failed. Actually, I might tweet about that later because that's funny. Like, we tried to leak something and it didn't fucking work.
All right, two things, and then we'll get out of here. One thing is just something I want to share with you because you mentioned something about the Ford Theater, and I've gotten into sort of like old cars since I've been out here, and I actually just sold a 1960 Ford Falcon yesterday. Beautiful car. And I have a 1969 F-250, which is a gorgeous nightmare. But do you know what Fordite is? Have you heard this before?
Mm-hmm. I've heard that word. I don't know.
In the plants in Detroit, in the painting rooms, they would they'd do a bunch of cars in this color and then hose the room down, and then do a bunch of cars in this color and then hose the room down, and all that paint went down the drain and then stuck to the sides of the drain, and then 10, 20, 30 years later, if the drain finally like sealed up, they would go and have to go and chip that out. So it's an artificial man-made stone just of a million different colors of Ford paint over the ages.
That's cool.
And I don't know if Allison needs a pair of Fordite earrings or that needs to appear in one of your stories. Because I mean there is a metaphor there for New York and Detroit and all that. Of things, sort of constantly rewriting themselves. But I love that. As somebody who loves handmade stuff and also the runoff, the refuse, the remains of this shit became a gem. The great story of sort of like reclamation there. The last question, what are you excited about next? You don't have to leak a thing, you don't have to spill the beans, but what song are you excited to write? What story are you excited to write? What album order? Just tell me about a thing that you have coming up that you're excited
about. I got a few. I want to do that 4-track piano thing. I don't know what that means yet, but I know I'm gonna fucking do it. Owen and Chad made, and Derek and Steven weren't able to be around, so we recorded the music to like 18 songs where Chad plays drums, I play bass, and Mark plays guitar, and I freaking love this batch of songs, so I'm excited for that. I'm shooting a movie, but that sounds crazier than it is. It's going to be about like a week-long experience here at my house, and it's black and white, and it's about 4 like occult-minded professionals, a ghost hunter, a horror novelist, a special effects creator, who kind of believe they have a night off and they're just blowing off steam, but they don't have the night off. Doing that here. And there was one more thing in there. Oh, is that I don't know which book I'm going to write next, but I'm fucking right on the cusp. Bizarrely, and I did not expect this out of this conversation, I'm tempted to write another Bird Box story, but like that's a crazy thing for me to just say or something. But talking to you about it right now, I don't know why it sounds. Mallory has always been like a sister to me, but a little bit more like a twin sister, where like she's just the character I've never. It's no work to write her, none. Yeah. I know her through and through. I know everything she's going to say, her mannerisms, I know everything about her. I know exactly her temperament. I know that it's okay when she loses her cool because she is right. I know it's okay for her to be scared because what she's scared of is legitimately scary. I just fucking relate to Mallory, and I feel really, really, really comfortable working with her, writing her. So talking to you about her just now has me sort of like, God, I fucking miss her. I mean, I wrote that book, a few years ago now. Yeah. So it's like, maybe I'll just knock one. What's a fun idea is knocking one of those out, like knocking a third book and not even, agent, editor don't even know about it yet. And then like in a meeting, be like, I don't know, here, you guys like this one? Like, I don't know.
I think I felt weird rewatching the Bird Box movie and listening to Mallory when I like really I saw the town under the lake thing and I was like, oh fuck, and you have so many books, it's so difficult to come into a conversation like knowledgeable about your work, writ large. But also sometimes when somebody gets into an old record of yours, it forces you to go back and listen to it again. And you're like, yeah, oh man, we listened to this so many times with like mixing and mastering and stuff that I got to hate it. And then I didn't listen to it at all for 7 years. Yeah. And now, fuck, this record's great, man.
Yeah. I know. I had an interesting, I just want to mention this. You brought up the possibilities, and Bob came to town recently. So This is interesting, real fast. Bob, his sister, Cindy, one time when I was first dating Allison, Bob told his sister, Cindy, who lives up here, to go see the High Strung. She comes to our show, and her and Allison meet at the show, and we're like instant best friends. So Bob Spires, the singer of Possibilities, one of the two singers, his sister, Cindy, has been like, she is like one of our best friends for like the last like 10 years.
Wow.
And like in our daily lives, like she was over here the other day. And so Bob came up to Michigan to see her, and they all came over to our house. And while Bob was here, we played for him our newest album on like the speaker system, and we're all, Owen and me, and we're all like drinking and excited. And then fucking Bob played us his. And it was this amazing moment where and his sounded fucking awesome.
Of course.
And it was like, it was really awesome. It was like way more rock than ours. And his voice is like super high and weird still. And it was all fucking awesome. And like, we were like, wow, this is a great moment we're having right now. This wasn't planned. You came to see your sister, and then here we are, Bob, you and us like playing each other these songs. And you and I are like that. And again, I can't help but think that it just smacks of a birds of a feather. It just smacks of that. Like the reason there's almost something subconscious. Maybe I'm being a little cosmic, but there's something subconscious about when we all met that was like, this guy's going to be doing it forever, just like I am. Cause like there's actual love here. And then we are all doing it.
Yeah. And it's so great to talk to you and be reminded that we're allowed to take those moments to hang out with our friends and play them the new record and listen to their new record and listen and talk and laugh and have fun because we put the work in. And sometimes we forget that we did, it was good work, and we're lucky to have had it.
Well, sometimes I think that it almost becomes like how you were saying before, that you have to like, you almost forget about, being number one in that kind of thing. You almost forget it. Like sometimes I got to remind myself too, that it's exceptional. Like what you're doing, like not meaning me, but the idea of like, because you could easily say like, oh yeah, I wrote another album this year, or, oh, I wrote a book. Like, whoa. It should never reach this sort of like, oh yeah, I just did that or popped it out. It should always be, you should always be aware. And that kind of goes back to why I like that list on Wikipedia, why I like those numbers is because they force you to be aware of what you're doing and adding to. That you're not just like, oh, it's just another, throw it into the abyss of work I've done for 20 years. Like, no, this is book number 36. And the reason this is different than 35 is this and this. And this is album number 10 with the boys. Well, that means something. 10. Okay, this, that kind of thing. I think numbers help me in that way, like 2 or something. You know what I mean? They keep track or they remind me that each work of art is an individual number, is an individual work of art.
Yeah. And the awesome thing is that I to have made 10 records with the High Strung, it's not just that you made 10 records, you made 10 number one favorite High Strung records, right? That each one of those is your favorite, and I think you would have an incredibly hard time choosing between those records, or to put those records in order. That might break you.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. How many albums have you made now?
I think I'm at like 8 or 9.
Yeah, we have, I think this newest one is like our 10th like proper studio like album. Mark and I have done stuff on the side and 4-track and EP and stuff like that. But in terms of like album, I think we're about the same.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you so much for this, man. I love you so much. And it's weird to be starting a podcast now. I feel like I'm like getting into the Red Hot Chili Peppers now for the first time. Like I'm so behind in like getting to this, but it's been so good for me to just because like, when's the last time that we had a long conversation? Like when Star Anna and I came through in 20.
No, but even that wasn't that long. Like we were at that table for a while, and it was like, I feel like I was more concerned because at that point I was going 15 months without drinking, and I was way back in the like, wow, this is like, and it was like changing it felt like I had discovered the fountain of youth. Yeah. And I was like 6 or 7 months in. So I wouldn't say it's a regret of mine, but oftentimes when I've thought about our talk, I'm like, we could have talked about anything. We have to talk about fucking sobriety. I didn't have to bring that up. He's way beyond the 6 months that you were at, and he's at a different, level or something. But anyway, my point is that conversation. I'm glad we met up and whatever. But when's the last time we did this? Yeah.
Never. I mean, maybe in 2003 on the bus of like those like incredibly long rambling conversations we had where we actually were able to be friends and also to interrogate each other and to interview each other and to just have those like long, earnest conversations. It's another thing I feel incredibly fortunate, to have had you and Chad and Mark and Derek to have that level of friendship with each of you that we could just sit and have a serious conversation for a fucking hour and a half or 3 hours or however long the drive was,
I would love to hear you. I'd love to hear all of them because Owen would be super interesting, my God, but I would love to hear any of them, but specifically Chad is striking me right now because you could have a hell of a conversation with him in terms of if you really wanted to stick with like music and history of music and recording gear and what goes into making albums. And this, I mean, he's like so fucking great to talk about all that shit, man.
Oh yeah. I got to get Chad on
yeah. I mean, again, all of them have Mark, Derek, have them all. But I was just for right now, I was imagining Chad really getting into the gear side or something.
It's and the best thing about doing this podcast is that I'm the fucking boss. So if I want to talk to a person, I'll be like, fuck it, let's do a podcast. And then we just talk for an hour. Yeah. It's awesome. Josh, thanks so much, man. And
yes, I loved it. And I want to do it again.
Come visit me here. I got to come see you in Detroit. Let's book a tour. Let's do all the things.
Real fast, when are you going on tour next?
Man, I don't know. I'm in the process of finishing another album that I think is going to turn into 2, 6 to 8 long, 6 to 8 track EPs. And I have the new book that, I really just want to fucking sell it out of the trunk of my car. Like Death of a Salesman. And so it would be awesome to do a tour when that record comes out, selling that new record, and selling books and stuff. We've always threatened to do a tour where we tour together and you guys back me up. That would be
that'd be amazing,
awesome. Dude. Let's do that before we die.
Well, at the very, 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 very least, when you go on the tour for this one, let's play in Detroit and Chicago and Cleveland or whatever. Like, let's do like a something together.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be phenomenal. All right.
Awesome. All right, great to see you, brother.
You too. Thank you, Mishka. That was fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, I'll talk to you soon, Josh.
Okay.
See ya.
Mishka Shubaly is catching up with friends who are arguably more talented than him.
Hey, we're going to jump in here with a quick word of thanks to our corporate sponsor. Oh, what's that? This podcast is not sponsored by Squarespace. Yes, that's right. This is a totally independent, no Exxon money. Oh, Christ. This is an independent podcast. We don't do second takes on bogus commercials. Please rate, review, subscribe, post your heartwarming compliments on the Apple Podcast app and spread the word. Thank you.